The ley system discovered by Alfred Watkins of Hereford in the 1920s was first put forward as a waymarking system from prehistoric times. However, it was soon noticed that more recent structures, particularly places of worship of all faiths, would often fall on the leys. It was as if the system was self-repairing by subconsciously influencing the location of places of worship, and it seems to continue into modern times. In Shepton Mallet in Somerset recently, I came upon this circle of stones round a huge Scots pine in front of the Townsend shopping park, which is on the site of the old Clark's shoe factory. It's clearly not ancient, but because of the leys found through a Welsh Eisteddfod circle some years ago, I wondered if it might be subconsciously sited. A very good ley was found passing through it, running from the High Mendip to Dorset. It starts at a tumulus near Poole Farm, near the Castle of Comfort Inn on top of the Mendips. This is part of a barrow cemetery there. Then it goes through one of the Priddy circles, adjacent to the road, before going through the crossroads by the pub. The Castle of Comfort is a curious name, but it's believed to have earned it for providing refreshments for prisoners travelling from Wells Jail to Gibbet's Brow, where they were due to be hanged in the reign of the notorious hanging Judge Jeffreys. There is also a Roman road across the Mendips, which crosses the B3134 a few hundred metres south of the Castle of Comfort, which seems to be the one which meets the Fosse Way at the important ancient site of Beacon Hill near Shepton Mallet. The ley goes on to cross this road at a track road multi-junction on the B3135. The Castle of Comfort Inn and its crossroads. The line then goes through the edge of a clump at Hill Grove, northeast of Wells. This is on a long straight stretch of the A39, the alignment of which goes through a group of tumuli at Chewton Mendip and the Green Oar crossroads. And in the southward direction through St Cuthbert's Church in Wells, St Edmund's Hill in Glastonbury, and then St John's Church there, and Wearyall Hill with its legend of St Joseph of Arimathea. It goes through the main crossroads in Glastonbury, grazing the Abbey land. This ley goes through a roundabout with another possibly subconsciously sited standing stone near West Mendip Hospital. The ley we were following before then goes from Hill Grove through a coniferous clump at Washingpool, East Horrington, before continuing to Shepton Mallet and the subconsciously sited circle. Shepton Mallet was in a strategically important place for the Romans. They set up a small town near the site of the existing British settlement, complete with villas, a pottery, no fewer than 3 cemeteries and other important buildings. Nearby was a Roman temple. However, after about 3 centuries, the Roman town gave way to a small Christian settlement. The 1990 excavations at Shepton unearthed what seemed to be the earliest evidence for a Christian burial, the Cairo amulet, although some doubt was cast upon its authenticity by analysis of the silver. During the Roman occupation of Britain, Shepton stood by one of the most important roads in the country, the Fosse Way. Built in the 1st century AD, this military supply road formed an unbroken stone road from Exeter to Lincoln. Almost arrow straight along its whole length, it passed through Ilchester and Bath on its way north. Midway between these 2 towns stood an existing settlement, with its political power centred on nearby Maysbury Hill Fort. For the Romans, this was a logical place to set up a fortress. No firm evidence of a military encampment has been found in Shepton Mallet, but this is a very likely site. However, several Roman sites have been located, providing clear proof that there was a sizable Roman town in the area. Evidence of the status of the Shepton Mallet area comes from a group of tumuli at Beacon Hill, the largest known group of ancient burial mounds in Somerset. Bronze Age barrows, one containing the cremated remains of a teenage girl in an urn, a circular earthwork and a standing stone still remain on the hill, which is on the line of the Fosse Way. The cremated remains were reburied in the barrow in a replica urn with pagan ceremony. There is an equinoctial east-west lay running from here to Wells Cathedral. The Standing Stone at Beacon Hill. The lay we are following then goes through the multi-junction at Canard's grave on the Fosse Way, where, according to legend, the ghost of 17th century publican Giles Canard still walks. According to legend, he was a highwayman and rustler who was eventually hanged for sheep stealing. But in fact, the origin of the name may be considerably older. The name may date back some 1,000 years, and the association with the death of Tom Taverner may be a later invention. Graef is the Anglo-Saxon form of grove, a small wooded area, and may have nothing to do with burial places. Kinehard was an Anglo-Saxon prince who may have owned land in the area. The name may therefore originally have been Kinehard's grave or Kinehard's grove. Alternatively, Canard may simply be a corruption of Kineherd. In this case, the original name may well have been Kineherd's Grove, or simply a place where cattle drovers gathered their herds together prior to milking, selling or slaughtering. So this could be the second grove site on the lay. It next goes along about a mile of coincident road to St Peter's Church, Evercreech. There was probably a church here in the Saxon period. Certainly the existing late 15th century church stands atop much older foundations. The glory of St Peter's is the superb West Tower, one of the finest in Somerset, a county noted for its medieval church towers. From here the lay goes to Creech Hill, a univalate hill fort about a mile northwest of Bruton. Lamiat Beacon marks the highest point of the hill and is the site of a Romano-Celtic temple which was in use from 250 AD to 375 AD. But the lay misses this. According to the folklorist Catherine Briggs, Creech Hill is said to be haunted by a ghost known as the Bull Beggar. From traditions collected by Ruth Tong in 1906 and published in County Folklore, she recounts how in the 1880s 2 bodies had been dug up during quarrying operation. Afterwards the hill became haunted by a black uncanny shape and unseen footsteps. A farmer coming home late one night saw a figure lying in the road and approached to offer help, whereupon it suddenly got up and chased him all the way to his own door. His family ran to his rescue and saw the figure bounding away with wild laughter. The line then goes over Chorley Hill, West Bruton, and on to Windmill Hill, Wincanton. A Bronze Age burial was found in 1870 during work at Ireson's quarry on this hill. It contained a single burial with a large beaker, staghorn and flint scraper. The lay passes through the site of this burial. The next point seems to be Nash Court, Marnhull, which originally belonged to the Abbey of Glastonbury, but Henry VIII gave it to Catherine Parr, the last of his wives, in 1544. From her it passed to Edward VI and then to Elizabeth I, after which it passed through the families of several noblemen and eminent citizens. A community of nuns rented it from 1795 to 1807. Finally, on this map, the lay reaches the parish church of St Nicholas Manston, which has a 13th century chancel, 14th century nave and 15th century west tower, in the style of the 11th century. It comprises chancel, nave, north aisle, south porch and western tower. The church was restored in 1885 and can be found adjacent to Manston House, a short walk from the main road along a private drive. The perpendicular west tower with its fine carvings is dated 1534, while parts of the chancel and north aisle, now curtained off from the main part of the church, are early English. The interior is adorned by a fine barrel roof. This lay goes through 11 points on the map, not including the Shepton Circle, 3 of which are prehistoric, 3 churches, if one includes Nash Court, which will have had a chapel when occupied by religious communities, 2 possible grove sites, and 2 multi-junctions on Roman roads. It seems to be good evidence for the possibility of subconscious sighting.